high notes were not pushed, but they were released. So now let's unpack one of the biggest issues with singers and teachers today, which is how to approach high notes. So when you approach high notes, so the upper voice in the male singer, a lot of people have this idea that in order to achieve freedom in the upper voice, you have to push, you have to squeeze, you have to tuck, you have to drive breath and sound out, but that simply is not the case, at least within the mindset of bel canto. So what is it then? It's actually a combination of a number of things, but the most important combination for the already developed singer is one, the onset. The preparation is extremely important. You have to breathe in through a shape, coperto, or the shape of U. You have to stop the breath so everything comes to a place of closure. When it's closed, everything is closed. That's the closest you're going to get when you are releasing sound, and that actually encourages more sound to come through. Now, we don't squeeze the folds together. We don't use muscle. We just gently breathe in, stop the breath, and then we release sound. But how do we get to the upper voice? You have to use the consonants. You see, remember, everything is happening at the level of the larynx. Everything is happening within the vocal folds. The sound is being created with a combination of breath and vocal fold closure. Yes, I know it's a little bit technical, but that's all it is, but it's all happening here. Everything from your upper voice to your lower voice. Nothing is happening up here. All that does is allow more freedom by thinking that way. However, it's at the cost of the longevity of the voice. So listen to this little excerpt from Cielo e Mar. We're going to sing vi conquide, che vi sospira. I'm going to use the consonants to release the sound as opposed to try to reach or grab. Yes, that's no good. And we also don't want to drive the breath into the sternum. We want to release with a simple connection of the posture to the release of sound. So, a quell'uomo. We breathe in through U, we stop the breath. A quell'uomo. What I'm not doing is I'm not getting involved with vibrato. I'm thinking of the release of resonance and just allowing that release to exist on its own without getting involved. When we sing quell'uomo, it's just like speech where we're not thinking of going quel and releasing vibrato or manipulation of vibrato. We just want to get involved with the release of resonances. And as I've said before, the consonants help you to do that. Using very, very plosive consonants that are in the music, or using coup de glotte when you're trained to do so, encourages sound to release out further, and that actually allows for more freedom in the upper voice. So one more time, with that example, actually we'll go to a later example. Vieni, o donna, vieni. When we have two vowels, listen to the consonant that could fit in between. Venial, venial. Use the Y, the high pillar height of the Y, to release to al bacio. Yes? Vieni. Vieni al bacio. Vieni al bacio. Bella vita dell'amor. Yes, so we want to use the consonants to help us release resonance, to allow for more freedom in the upper voice. But this is the difficult thing for a lot of singers. They're very much involved with this idea of the support. Okay, support in bel canto, we call it coordination, because it's something that naturally happens when the singer is uninvolved in the natural involuntary musculature that's kind of used to facilitate proper breath management. So in other words, when the belly relaxes, air will naturally rush in. You gently encourage the breath in to a fuller capacity with the lungs, or a fuller filling up of the lungs through the mouth, and you encourage that expansion in the chest. Then you stop the breath. You don't squeeze, you don't push, you don't tuck. None of those things will serve the singer. They'll get in your way because all you're doing is bringing the sound from a released point through the posture back into the mouth. So you'll start hearing things in the nose or in the throat or sitting in the back. So to avoid that, we want to only be involved with the consonant, the vowel, and the release of resonance through a posture. So now, the very, very end. Vieni. Vieni, o donna, vieni al bacio, vieni. Notice how I release through the posture, through the consonant. Vieni. So, of course, one thing that's always taught at the Academy of Bel Canto is that squillo leads the body. This is very, very important when you approach the entire range with freedom from the perspective of Bel Canto. In other words, you don't push the chest quality of sound through. The squillo has to be allowed to drag or draw out the body depending on how much it can manage. Because if the squillo is very weak, if the connection is very weak, you won't be able to pull very much sound and body out. So listen to this very last excerpt from Vieni. Vieni, o donna. I'm not going. Vieni, o donna. I'm pushing body. Yes, even with my training, there's still a little squillo present, but a lot of singers are pushing body. Yes, that will imbalance the upper voice. It will make the lower voice feel bigger, but to the audience, it's going to it sound much smaller than you may think. So here, vieni, o donna, vieni al bacio, vieni, vieni. Yes, now we have the vieni al bacio. You have to release through the B. Vieni al bacio. Yes, and the squillo leads. Vieni al bacio nella vita. So this has been a little excerpt on Bel Canto, approaching the upper voice, how to approach the upper voice with freedom. As always, you are invited, if you are interested, to sign up for our free mini course, Release to Sing. It has a couple of concepts that we talk about here, kind of in a more organized and systematic format. But of course, if you're interested in diving into our foundations level or our professional courses, visit our website, academyofbelcanto.com. We invite you to send us an email at vocalmastery1@gmail.com if you have any questions or concerns or you want some clarification. But we will see you for your next excerpt.